what I was telling about earlier, right? You should be able to review the system architecture to validate whether it will meet the NFR or not. Maybe this one, reviewing the system architecture, system design, maybe it will come with experience, right? But when it comes to your overall engineering or your optimization, that is a important aspect to review the system design architecture and see whether it is going to meet your NFRs or not. Okay, and you should be good in monitoring tools. You should be good in the profiling tools, all doing these heap dumps, thread dumps, GC analysis, database analysis, front end performance engineering. All these things put together is what going to be the part of your system analysis. And other two small things are your programming and networking administration. Programming, you're not going to be a developer, but it is good to know if you already know Java or a .NET or Python. It is an added advantage because you're going to talk to a developer and then tell that there is a problem in your code. So when you are already know a little bit of programming, it helps you in talking a little more confidently to the developer. Okay, and same way for networking administration. You cannot expect the other person to come and install you tools, softwares, deploy, configure, restart. All these things, it is expected from you to do it on yourself. So you should get hands-on on Linux, installing tools, deploying the your application in the server. All these things you should get an hands-on. Okay, so all this put together is what it will make a good performance engineer. Okay. So through this course, what we are trying to do is testing is already taken care. You know about testing. System analysis is what we are going to cover from the engineering perspective. All these things, whatever I have mentioned. I'll go through the course content little shortly. What we are going to cover in depth anyway. Okay. There's more of a introduction before we go to the content. For you to understand what are all things are required from a performance engineer. So analysis is going to be everything, and programming point of view, we will have a couple of sessions at the beginning itself to make you a little bit comfortable on the terminologies. We don't want you to do a black box testing or a black box engineering. You should know our typical program is created. Our typically multiple classes are created. What is class? What is object? What is method? Our deployment is done. Our jar is created. Our var is created. Our multiple classes are called internally. How we are going to make a database connection, how do we are going to make a HTTP connection from a program. So all these aspects, we wanted to have a kind of ice-breaking session so that you don't feel that, okay, I'm going to go and talk to a developer, and even when I'm going to say there's a response time problem, we are questioned many times, right? They will question us saying your data is a problem, your scripting might have a problem. They will not accept there is a problem with the application. It is going to be very difficult to convince them. Now, if you're going to go and say your code is having a problem, your method is having a problem, your object is having a problem, if you just go and talk as a black box without much confidence, they're definitely not going to accept the issue. Okay, so for us to get that extra confidence, go and talk to a developer pinpointing a problem, you should know how our application is going to look like, our method is going to look like, our class is going to look like, right? So you get, when you go and talk to them, you get that extra level of confidence to go and talk to a developer. That is what we will be doing it in the initial part of your course, right? So from a course perspective, from a topic perspective, that is something we will start with the Java basics. Okay, what I was saying, we'll go and create few programs in Eclipse, compile it, run it. That is something for you to get that kickstart your journey. Okay, so initially at the start of the course, we will go through the Java basics and then the JVM basics, which are both are required for you to make sure that you're not doing your engineering as a black box. Okay. And also all these topics what I'm going to talk about, right, it's going to be practical as well. In the right hand side, the last column, right, I've given all the list of tools that we'll be using it along with the topics. Okay, so all these tools are going to be either open source or commercial, but even if it is commercial, you will be able to install it in your machine or set it up a cloud account. For example, AppDynamics, right? Or a JProfiler. Both are commercial tools, but you will be able to install it or connect to AppDynamics cloud with a trial account, and you can use it for at least 2 or 3 months for your training practice. Okay, so whatever I'm teaching, 100% you would be able to do it on your own. Install it to your machine and then practice after the sessions are over in the weekend or in the evening time. You would be able to go and practice it by installing it. All we are expecting you to do is have this basic setup in your laptop. Yeah, you need a laptop, you need a Java, you need few softwares like Eclipse, Tomcat, and then tools like JProfiler, JVisualVM, JConsole. All these tools, um, all these are all very basic tools um, to start with, right? This is what we need. Okay, and as we move forward for every topics, I'll provide you the software which is has to be installed and from where to install. We will have the Google Drive from where you can download all these softwares, or I'll probably a link from where you can download it. Either way, okay. So everything will be driven through this Google Drive. All the artifacts, all the war file or code that we use it, the scripts, Jmeter scripts that we use it, on all the document that we create, response time analysis, memory analysis, your thread analysis, all that we do uploaded into the drive, which you just give me 1 second. Sorry, yeah. So everything will be uploaded to the this drive, which you will have an access, right? So all the softwares what I'm talking about will also be available in this drive, and if you go to the softwares and links, there you will get links from where you can download the software as well. Okay, once you register, you will get access to the drive through which you will be able to download and all the artifacts or the softwares for your practice. Okay, and the way we are going to learn, we are going to build, say I will have an Eclipse in which I will have a sample application code. You may not need to have the code with you or Eclipse. This is optional, but will go and do the some of the changes in the I would have done some changes in the code through which I will be deploying the war file, and the war file you will get it. Okay, war file, it will be there in the drive. For example, if I wanted to analyze the response time problem, there will be a response time analysis folder. In that you will get a war file with issues. Okay, that you need to go and deploy it in your Tomcat. Okay, for example, I'll show you all these things in detail as we start the courses. Anyway, I'm just telling how this is going to be done, right? So I'll be sending you the war file. You will be having a Tomcat in a mission, in your mission, and you will be able to go and deploy this war file in your mission, elibrary.war file. And then I will just start this Tomcat to show you the sample application as well. Okay, the sample application has a lot of functionalities. Front end, you have a Java code, and it is also having MySQL DB. Okay, so all our training will be based on this Java application, where for response time analysis, memory analysis, thread dumps, heap dumps, GC analysis, everything will be based on this application, where there will be already there will be some issues that are available in the application, and we will be trying to use all these AppDynamics or JProfiler or JConsole, JVisual tools to troubleshoot this problem and then find out all the response time issue or a memory issue or a thread issue. Okay, so yeah, pretty much it is going to be practical plus The concepts has to be taught theoretically. So it is going to be combination of both theoretical and practical. Okay, let me open the uh, application. It is going to be a sample application, a Java application, which we are going to use it. Okay, and then I'll log into this. Okay, so it is going to have a couple of functionalities once you log in. Okay, you can log in as an admin login, or you can log in as a librarian login. Library login will have 7 to 8 functionalities. Your admin login have 3 to 4 functionalities. Right? Yeah. So this is a setup. You will also need to have it in your mission. Minimum is your Java, your Tomcat, and this sample application, and the tools as we move along. Okay. So you have this view librarian, and where it will list down all the librarians in the app, and then you can go and add a librarian. Can you do new library? You can add it, and then you can do a logout. And then using this librarian, right, with this user ID and password, you will be able to log in as a librarian login as well. And there you will have a other list of 5-6 functionalities. Okay, so that is how our courses are going to be conducted. Okay, it is going to completely, we will build it, we'll deploy it, we will test it, we'll identify the performance problem, and then we will diagnose what is a problem with the code, and then we will go and fix it. Again, we will go and test it. That's how it is going to be for most of your um, sessions. Okay, so coming back to these sessions, as I said, we will start with the Java basics and JVM basics, and from there, what we are going to assume is, we are going to assume that you are going to be a performance engineer who are going to involve early in the life cycle. Okay, that is early in the life cycle is going to be a important thing that you need to understand. As a performance tester, right, you will be involved only in the testing phase, or maybe a bit before the testing phase, where you go and create a script. But as a performance engineer, your relevancy in your project is going to be more. You're going to get involved much early in the life cycle. As the development is started, as they start to develop the code, right, you will get involved to do the early performance engineering. And even when the app goes to production, and analyzing the performance in production, analyzing your non-functional aspects, what that is happening in your production, synthetic monitoring, real user monitoring analysis, right? So you should shift left and shift right. Either way, you as a performance engineer will get involved. That's a huge advantage, right? So when you get into any job, if your relevancy is going to be more in the life cycle, more aspect you're going to work and deliver when compared to the performance tester. Okay, so what you're going to assume is, you want to assume that you're going to involve in a uh, product where your development has started, and you're going to start doing the early performance engineering as the code is getting delivered. Okay, so we will be looking into the response time analysis, response time issue, how to optimize the response time, analyzing the response time problem with the tools like JProfiler. Okay, both from the server side and also from the client side. Right, client side metrics, what are the web vitals, how to analyze those web vitals using developer tool, how to provide the optimization from the client side and the server side. So that is what we will cover it from the uh, um, response time perspective at the shift left. Okay, and then we will move along to the, for the same application, same pages, same functionality. We will also look into the memory aspect. Okay, so when it comes to optimization, there are 3 aspects: your response time, which is related to the CPU, your memory, and then your thread. All these things are important from a performance of your server or capacity of the server. And as a performance engineer, that is what you're going to analyze early in the life cycle. Okay, your response time analysis, your memory analysis, and as part of memory analysis, we are going to deep dive into many aspects: your Java heap, Java stack, what is the difference, what kind of analysis you have to do it for heap and stack, what are the tuning flags, configuration flags from heap and stack, and we will go and do the memory pattern analysis, memory leak analysis, identify leaks in objects, and and more from the endurance test, what will we looking for? Why do we run the endurance test? And during endurance test, what kind of monitoring you have to do it? What is the memory pattern you will look for? And then based on that, how do you keep them? And in what frequency you will keep them? When to keep them? What to take? How to take the keep them? And how to analyze the keep them? Right? All these things we'll be looking into it in detail. And as we move along, you will also look into the GC from a memory perspective. What is the concept behind GC? What are various activity that happens in GC? Compacting, deletion, marking. What are the various collectors? What is GC log and how to look into the GC logs, right? And what are the various component inside your GC, like the young generation, old generation? What are the various tuning flags associated with the GCs? All these things we will be looking into it in detail. So memory itself, it will be more than a week-long session that will happen for your Java heap, stack, leak, dump, and GC analysis. Okay, and then from there we will move on to the threads. Thread again, as I said, is the third component, important component, which will decide your overall performance. So we'll look into what is Java threads, what are the thread contentions, what are the problems that will come with the thread, how to configure the threads, and then how to diagnose a thread problem. When you run a load test, how do you know it is a thread problem or a memory problem or a response time problem? What are symptoms before which you decide when to take the thread dumps, how to take the thread dumps, what is the thumb rule for taking thread dumps, how to analyze it? All these things we'll be looking into it in detail, right? So once you analyze all these, your memory, your response time, your thread, then when it comes to load testing or any stress testing or endurance testing, you should have a strong monitoring strategy, right? Like a performance strategy, you should also have a monitoring strategy depending upon your architecture. So we'll talk about, for any architecture, how do you look into the architecture, how do you create a monitoring strategy, because it is very important. When you do a test, you should monitor. If you are not monitoring any of the component, you will not know what is happening. So how to create a monitoring strategy? And from a monitoring perspective, we'll look into two things. One is your commercial tool, AppDynamics, and second is an open source tool called Telegraph, Inflex, and Grafana. Right? One is more from the infrastructure monitoring, your Linux or Windows server, right? Server level monitoring. How can you automate unless the way we used to use the your Perfmon or VMstat, Top, IOStat kind of tools in Linux, right? Those are all old days. Now it is getting automated using Grafana and Telegraph. So we'll go and try to understand. We'll go and manually ourselves install these tools, configure it, and then monitor it using the Telegraph and Grafana. And same way for AppDynamics as well. We will go and create the AppDynamics account and then download the agent, configure the agent with the application, and then try to do all the monitoring with the Java heap, your GC, your thread, all these kind of monitoring, as well as diagnostics with respect to response time analysis, DB queries, your third-party calls analysis, creating the alerts. So all root cause analysis and deep dive diagnostics as well, we will do it using the AppDynamics. Okay, and all these things from application perspective, we'll be looking at it in detail. And from a database perspective as well, we will go and understand the concepts of Oracle. Oracle being a very common in any enterprise architecture. We try to understand how Oracle works, what is the memory architecture, what is the process architecture, what are the various important performance aspects like parsing, efficiency, your cache hit ratio, what to look for in an AWR report, how to take snapshots, how to take AWR reports, what to look into AWR report from an application engineering perspective, right? We are not going to be a DBA. We're not going to be a database performance engineer. Right? They are something very niche jobs, niche area where application performance engineer will not be allowed to do the DB tuning or your database configurations. That will be taken care by your DBS only. But as an application performance engineer, what is that scope within ourselves from a database perspective? From that angle, we will go and understand the concepts of parsing, cache hit ratio, and then to look into the AWR reports. Okay, And at the last, we'll go and look into the non-functional requirements and engineering strategy. Once you learned all these topics, right, you would be able to now go and draft your engineering strategy by yourself. Okay. Earlier we used to have this engineering strategy at the beginning, but what we felt is, once you learn all these things, then you will know how to write your engineering strategy as well. So we will go and look into engineering strategy at the end, and we'll also understand how non-functional requirements are gathered, what are those NFRs, how to gather these NFRs and analyze these things. We will be looking into it as well at the end. And additionally, so all these things are all engineering topics which we are going to learn through this course. And additionally, depending upon the expectation in the current market, some of these are buzz today. Some of these are, we will always talk about it whether they use it or not. So as a performance engineer, in addition to these things, to crack the interviews or to get into some of this discussion, we will introduce you to the DevOps, continuous performance testing. What is a continuous performance testing? What are the myths around it? What are the best practices? We do it practically real time. Those things will cover it along with your Jenkins and Jmeter integration. Okay, and synthetic monitoring as well from a SRE or your shift right that happens in production. We'll try to use Dynatrace to understand the concept of synthetic monitoring, how to create the synthetic scripts, how to configure it, what are all things to look into it. Okay, that is also we'll look into it. And then more from the cloud, where everywhere there is a cloud, right? Your application is getting deployed in cloud. And when it comes to cloud, a lot of people, your managers tell that since your application is moving to cloud, performance is not that performance testing is not that important, right? We'll try to understand what is the myth around it. How are we going to handle this situation when somebody is going to say that performance testing is not required? What doesn't change? What are the additional scenarios you have to cover it from a resiliency perspective, from a chaos perspective, auto scaling perspective? So we'll go and discuss on these aspects from a cloud performance. And additionally, we understand that a lot of things happens in Linux. So we will provide you the 6 to 8 hours of video recordings of Linux for performance testers, which will cover a lot of basics about Linux, how to use Linux from installing tools and monitoring the Linux servers. So you'll get a detailed view on the Linux expert as well. And additionally, from automation, performance automation, right? We'll also provide you the video for how to use Selenium for your client-side performance, Selenium for automating your client-side performance. So both these things we thought it would be relevant for you. So as a bonus topic, you'll get these videos once you register. Okay. So to summarize, yeah, that is how we are going to use a sample application for doing this lot of engineering learnings. Okay, and minimum thing what we expect you to have is a laptop with Java installed with a Tomcat, so that even Eclipse is not mandatory. But the tools, JProfiler, JVisual, Visual VM, JConsole, AppDynamics, all these things tools you would need to install it. It's very straightforward installation, no complication. And Tomcat, you need it. We will go through how to use the Tomcat, how to deploy the WAR file maybe tomorrow. Okay, this basic setup is what is required for you to do hands-on. Okay, so there is one thing where you can listen to my teaching and you get a lot of information, but at least once, if you go and install and do all these hands-on, at least once in next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, right? As a practice, you can do it. You can pretty much confidently go and talk to the in the interview, and then say that you are a performance tester, you have experience in performance testing, but as per your interest or a passion, you have learned all this engineering, and you also have done hands-on using a sample application, all these tools and all these concepts. Then definitely you will have a major edge when compared to the person who knows only performance testing. Okay, so assume that in the interview or in a project, right, people are expecting definitely experienced performance tester and performance engineering knowledge, right? Or even if the performance engineering knowledge is not expected from them, but when you're going to tell that you know all these things, then you're going to easily edge out the other testers, right? So for that perspective, at least we can do practice once. You'll get a lot of confidence when you go to talk about these things in the interview or in the even within their engagement, right? Existing company where there's an opportunity that is coming in for a performance engineer, you can feel confident to take up that, right? And then you can gain the experience. So so yeah, you should at least practice once so that you can pretty much go and talk about that in the wherever you've been questioned. Okay. So apart from just listening, hands-on is something recommended. Okay. I'll take a pause here, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask question in the chat, or probably you can unmute and ask question.
Hi Satish, I'm here.
Yeah, hi, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we see the topics and yeah, you're covering quite a few. And majorly, as you know, right now the trend is cloud performance engineering. So they usually ask what type of issues we get into uh, performance aspects when we do testing, right? So would you like to add few topics or something so that it will be helpful for performance engineering for cloud? Maybe maybe for Azure or AWS, anyone at least. Not completely, at
See,
least a few topics.
true, but only thing is from an engineering perspective. Okay, we're talking about the engineering, and what we're talking about is that cloud is an infrastructure. Okay, cloud provides you the infrastructure, it provides you the mission, it also provides you some of these services as well. Okay, from an engineering perspective, whether you have your application hosted in on-premise or your cloud or GCP or Azure, doesn't change. All these profilings, EDMs, threadum, GC analysis, client-side analysis, AppDynamics, open source, maybe the open source monitoring may not be required there because you might have a cloud watch kind of a thing. Okay. Apart from that, pretty much it is all common to whether your application is going to be in cloud or not. That is why I also told you, right? When a lot of places people ask applications moving to cloud, why should I do a testing? You should do a testing because your application is still an application. Still, it's going to have a performance problem. Still, it's going to have a memory problem. You have to analyze it, fix it. Otherwise, what will happen is the cloud will provide you the missions. Even if your capacity is not sufficient, it will keep on giving you the missions. But you have to keep paying to your service provider, your cloud provider. So, which means it is more important to do this engineering and testing in even in cloud. Okay. So from a cloud perspective, engineering is pretty much same. Okay. Maybe the monitoring might be a little bit different. You will still use AppDynamics,
Yes,
but you might also use tools like CloudWatch. You might use tools like Azure Insights or Azure Monitoring. Okay.
right.
In the cloud, when I talk about the cloud readiness or cloud introduction, I'll talk about some of these auto scaling aspects, the chaos tools, and if possible, I'll cover the cloud watch. Right? I will need access to the AWS console. I'll try to cover the cloud watch more from the cloud flavor, but let me try out getting an access. Okay, but to answer the question, engineering is something common whether it is
Yeah,
cloud or not.
definitely.
But I got your
As you
point.
said,
In the cloud flavor, I'll add it.
yeah, as you said, yes, be it a cloud or be it a VM or be it a physical machine, whatever the concepts you're saying, correct. But right now, cloud has given the flexibility that we can get much insights with respect to application or with respect to database directly from the cloud console, right? So that's what I'm talking about.
True, true. Yeah. So the cloud watch kind of a tool, right? You will be able to see again. Okay, I'll get into that in detail. But yes, not the diagnostic perspective. You're detailing out the problem. Your cloud watch or any of the console are not going to provide the diagnostic data, but yes, the monitoring data. Instead of you using the tools like Grafana or probably AppDynamics, the infrastructure monitoring you can get it from the CloudWatch. So I'll try to add the CloudWatch as part of the cloud session if possible. Sure.
Yeah, because nowadays everywhere the only question comes up: have you done cloud performance testing? Have you done cloud monitoring, cloud diagnostics? So, not sure whether how it is going to work, but if we add few topics from that
Yeah,
perspective, it would be a great deal.
yeah. Sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, or at least like basics if we covered like how we can answer for the cloud in terms of like auto scaling and all
I
that.
got, I got. Sure. I'll probably try to have a session extended for the cloud where we'll talk about how to handle these questions and some of these basics, what I told. Sure.
Yes, Satish.
Okay. And
And
Satish,
sessions
how
are going to
about
be at the
sorry?
yeah. Go ahead.
No. So every day it is 1 hour we were mentioned. So is it on Saturday, Sunday also, or how is it going to be?
See, it's mostly Monday to Friday. If in case there are going to be break in between for whatever reasons, if we fall behind the schedule, we might have 1 or 2 Saturdays if everybody is okay with that. Otherwise, it's going to be Monday to Friday only.
Okay, sure.
Just one question on the timings, right? So it will be like from 7 to 8 in the morning.
Correct. The same time what we connected today.
Okay. So is there any sessions that are planned like during night time as well? Probably because 7 to 8 might not work for me if I'm like if I want to register, right? Like so are there any sessions planned in the evening or at the night time as well?
So we have one ongoing session between 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., but we are almost middle way. Once that is
Okay.
completed, we'll be starting the next one. So we can probably join that batch. Maybe in another 3 weeks' time, we'll get started with another batch.
Okay.
If in
All
case
right.
you
From
able to
9
make
p.m. to 10 p.m., right?
correct. Yeah, the current batch is
What?
9 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay. All right. That is IST, right? IST hours.
Yes, yeah, everything is IST. This course is
Okay.
planned for 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. IST, Monday to Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it.
And the way it works is once the session is completed, the videos will be recorded and it will be shared in the probably in the evening for you to refer and practice. Okay, for every day, the evening you will get the recorded video, and the recorded video will be available in the YouTube private channel, which you will get an access forever, right? For next 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, you'll have a continuous access to those videos for your reference.
All right. And for the next batch, say for example, like the night batches, right? When we will get the intimation? How do we get that?
Probably in a 2 weeks time you'll get it.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay, like
mostly we'll
Satish.
get started from
Okay.
tomorrow. If you have any questions during the daytime, you can reach out to me in the WhatsApp related to the topics or anything related to the particular area. Or if you have any questions on the um, payment or registration, you can also reach out to Kumar Sars or the admin of this group. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. There was one question.
Yeah, regarding the installation setup that we will be discussing in the next class, also like
Yes. We will
some.
have that section. I'll also have a separate recorded video for that, and we'll also cover that tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Still, if you have any other question, guys, feel free to put it in the WhatsApp group. Any of you have any questions about whether it is relevant for you, if you want to discuss on